In today's video, we're taking a look at a copy of the North Star, the shipboard paper of the USS Minneapolis. This particular issue was published December 14th, 1940, exactly 84 years ago today. As a product of its time, I will note that there are several statements that would not fly today, as well as several stories of dubious historical authenticity. That being said, I think it is a very interesting article, and I hope that you enjoy it as I present it verbatim. The North Star, published on board the USS Minneapolis under the direction of the commanding officer, for the good of the ship. Captain F.J. Lowry, U.S. Navy, Commanding Officer. Commander F.P. Thomas, U.S. Navy, Executive Officer. Lieutenant, Junior Grade, R.E. Wagstaff, U.S. Navy, Editor. Ensign L.L. Buda, U.S. Navy Reserve, Assistant Editor. D.R. Russell, Yeoman 3rd Class, U.S. Navy, Associate Editor. Joe O'Connell, Seaman First Class, U.S. Navy, Staff Artist. I like a dope. Below is an authentically quoted letter recently received by an officer on this vessel from an ex-enlisted man discharged with a bad conduct discharge. Names have been deleted for obvious reasons. Dear Sir, just a line to let you know I still am thinking of my friends. How are you getting along? You should be pretty filled up with recruits by now. How's the captain and commander getting along? I hope they are in fine health. Sir, I recall the last few words we had together, and I would like to ask your advice and see if I could not by some chance get reinstated in the Navy. I should have listened to what Commander Blank said, and I could probably have been second class by now. Sir, isn't there some way I could get back in? I'd do anything. I'd even work for an apprentice seaman and even pay the $108 fine if I could get back. Sir, isn't there some way you could get me in? Ask the captain or commander and tell them what I said. I'll do anything they say, even stay aboard 1 year if necessary, but please see about it. I think you were swell and always did, but I, like a dope, didn't listen, and now do I regret it. I wrote Washington, and they sent me a paper saying BCD men cannot get in again. But I know if you give them a few words, I just know I could get in, and I'd make up for everything I did and really make them proud of me. Tell the captain I'll even buy myself clothes and won't ever get fouled up. The first time I do anything wrong, I'll pay anything double. Please, I implore you to do me a last favor. I'll never forget you or the captain or commander if they will give me a chance. I'll prove I can be a good man. Please. Well, sir, I'll close now, and please see what you can do. I'll always be grateful to you and the captain and the commander. If I can't get any results now, I'll even write President Roosevelt. That is how bad I want to come back. I remain your truly grateful friend. Blank. Sympathy is about all that remains for this lad in his current plight. Having no material substance, sympathy will do little for him. His only consolation lies in himself, in his knowledge that experimenting with dubious conduct results in a positive, unpleasant circumstance. A situation which cannot be rectified by promises for the future if given another chance. He had chances, he fouled them. He asks for another chance, he gets sympathy. Any man who receives a bad conduct discharge from the U.S. Navy has had chances offered him. It is unusual for any man to be discharged with a bad conduct discharge for having committed only one offense. The man who wrote this letter had several chances to rectify his record and prove himself, but he passed each one up until he committed an offense serious enough to warrant his bad conduct discharge. He was cautioned and advised, but, he writes, I, like a dope, didn't listen, and now do I regret it. His realization came too late. Go back and reread his letter, then resolve that you will never have to lament, I, like a dope. It is from the mistakes of others that we learn the most. Personal experience is a great teacher, but the student is usually too late gaining his knowledge. How great nations got their nicknames. John Bull was the first applied to the English people by Dr. Arbuthnot in The History of John Bull, a satire on the Duke of Marlborough, published in 1712. John is there represented as a blunt, kin-hearted, bull-headed farmer. Our oldest national nickname is Yankee. The popular story of its origins is that of the Indians, stumbling over the pronunciation of the language of the paleface, called the English Yankees, and then Yankees. The settlers took back the word Yankee from their dusky neighbors. Uncle Sam, as a nickname, dates from the War of 1812, when one Albert Anderson, an army contractor, visited Troy, an army depot. The inspectors there were two brothers, Ebenezer and Samuel Wilson, the latter always known as Uncle Sam. A number of workmen one day were overhauling some casks purchased by Anderson, all marked EA-US. One workman, when asked the meaning of the marks, replied in a facetious mood that he did not know, unless it means Albert Anderson and Uncle Sam, alluding to the inspector. As the supplies purchased for the government were marked US, that is, United States, the name of Uncle Sam stuck, and has been used ever since. Woman to cook. Jane, I saw the milkman kissing you this morning. In the future, I'll take in the milk. Jane, it won't do no good, ma'am. He's engaged to me. One more crack about my bare legs, and I'm liable to lose my temper. Ships' nicknames. The Sea Lords, who choose the names for Britain's fighting ships, have frequently awarded names without consideration for the ratings who must pronounce them. It is not surprising, therefore, that nicknames have sprung up amongst the fleet for the most imposing titles. HMS Agincourt automatically became known as the Gin Palace. The submarine Pandora is the What Ho. The explanation is that a cruiser of the same name, launched 30 years ago, bore a bronze plaque showing a scantily draped Pandora opening her favorite box. The crew took one look at this work of art, and the ship was henceforth the What Ho. Famous firsts. Just 130 years ago, the first recorded sea voyage by steamship was completed by the Phoenix, which, believe it or not, went clear around New Jersey. The first commission issued by President Washington to an officer afloat was issued to Captain Hopley Yeaton, master of a revenue cutter. The Continental Navy had been disbanded, and the sole maritime defense were revenue cutters, now Coast Guard. This historic document, dated 21st March 1791, bears the signatures of both Washington and Jefferson. The Coast Guard had searched for years for this first commission, and by coincidence secured it from Miss Mary Eaton, great-granddaughter of Captain Eaton. The first American warship of iron using steam was the Michigan, built at Erie, Pennsylvania under the Act of Congress, 9th September 1842. She was fabricated in Pittsburgh and transported in part to Erie, where she was completed and launched in 1844. On 17th June 1905, she was renamed the Wolverine and officially stricken from the naval list 12th March 1927. The first United States warship to circumnavigate the world was USS Vincennes, commanded by Commander William Bolton Finch. The Vincennes left New York 3rd September 1826 and returned via Cape of Good Hope on 8th of June 1830. 8 more shopping days till Christmas. I wish Christmas would hurry up and come. I'm anxious to know what he's giving me for a gift. I don't know whether to go stag or get me a date with another yeoman. Wow, them yeomen really smell up the place with all that foo-foo they use. Bread is called the staff of life, but life itself is whiskey. What's good a staff midst all this strife? Just living now is risky. A sailor's life from day to day is full of joy and sorrow, so skip the work, drink up and play. We may be dry tomorrow. That's my poem. I wrote it. Conway, CWT.